Hello, I'm Chris Hartwell, and welcome to The Heartbeat. Today we're going to be talking about Antoine Fuqua's The Magnificent Seven. Join me, won't you? So, in the 2016 version of The Magnificent Seven, we are introduced to the small town of Rose Creek, which, for its gold, has been taken over by the greedy Bartholomew Bogue and his band of murderous henchmen. Desperate to avenge what's been taken from them, Rose Cullen seeks out the aid of bounty hunter Sam Chisholm, who in turn assembles 6 more men to save the small town and those that live there. Now, as I'm sure you're well aware, this is not the first time that this story, or something like it, has been told. Its tellings ranging from Seven Samurai to the 1960s Magnificent Seven to Battle Beyond the Stars to A Bug's Life. And this being a remake of a remake possessing elements of this version and that spin-off, it would have been rather foolish of me to go in ready to judge its story based upon originality. But what I was hoping for, and kind of what I do expect with any remake, reboot, or spin-off, is there to be some level of respect and understanding of what the previous versions accomplished, combined with a perceivably unique vision that unquestioningly makes it, in this case anyways, an Antoine Fuqua film. Essentially, I want the filmmaker to prove that they have a reason to make me walk back down a familiar road, directing my gaze even as I retrace my steps in new and different directions, allowing me to notice elements that I hadn't on my previous journeys through the originals. And as I settled into this film, I very quickly saw what Fuqua wanted to do. He wanted to create a gritty, tough-as-nails western, every bit as grounded and realistic as something like Unforgiven or The Assassination of Jesse James, where we could almost feel the grime, smell the gunpowder, and taste the sweat, and encounter individuals that really did feel like they lived in a place as rough and rugged as the real-life historic West. Drinkers, gamblers, outlaws, and murderers. And this being the director of Training Day, Fuqua was able to do that. But that wasn't all that he wanted to do. He also wanted to make a film that was just incredibly fun, stuffed to the bursting with the equally iconic, rousing, and exciting elements that we often ascribe to Westerns. Mexican standoffs, gunfights, bar fights, horse chases, and the like. And somehow, for a lot of this film, Fuqua was able to pull those two things off simultaneously, and a lot of that was due just to the excellent cast that he assembled, all of whom were very clearly, by their director, just encouraged to go for it with these roles. It really does go without saying, but Denzel Washington is a movie star, as magnetic and exciting to watch in this film as ever, even if we were just watching him stoically stare down an enemy before a gunfight. And with Chris Pratt, I felt like we most clearly saw that balance that Fuqua was trying to strike, between being grounded and realistic and just having a lot of fun. So yes, Pratt was allowed to exude his now iconic, likable energy and deliver his Chris Pratt quips, but he was also written as a drunk and a murderer, and that Fuqua made all those flavors complement one another certainly was a testament to his skill as a director. And it was also just such a treat that he assembled around those two leads such a diverse and talented cast, if only because this film really did go the way of the 1960s version, where the character development was extremely light, both for our heroes as well as for our villain, really forcing the success of those characters to almost wholly rest upon the personality of the actors playing them. And with that too, what Fuqua also smartly did was with each of his 7 leads kind of limit them to one distinctive thing, so to speak. So, to make a comparison to the Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Frodo was the blank slate on which we projected ourselves, Aragorn was the reluctant leader, Gandalf the wise sage, Sam the faithful companion, Legolas the stoic bowman, Gimli the humorous gruff dwarf, Pippin the dim but endearing tag-along, Merry his more intelligent friend, and Boromir the conflicted wildcard. And even though with those few characters, those distinctive traits really were all that were shown, we still got a sense that there was more to those individuals than just those distinctive traits. Which was accomplished on a film like The Fellowship of the Ring, and again on a film like this by, well, to use a cooking analogy, ensuring that each character or each dish was indeed seasoned with those distinctive traits or spices, yes, but not so seasoned or played so over the top as to drown out the idea that there was in fact something more beneath all those iconic spices and traits. To talk about a few of the elements that didn't work perfectly for me in the film, and to obviously continue with the food analogies, I did feel like this film had a bit of an issue setting down the utensil, so to speak, and just allowing me, in the peace and quiet, to digest what it had just fed me. And because it lacked a few of those palate cleansers, I did find with later courses that I was not quite as able to enjoy them as they got bigger, louder, and more intense throughout. But I think my biggest issue with this film was just, in the third act especially, kind of watching Fuqua stumble to balance those two tones that he had so expertly previously, really kind of forcing the first two acts almost to buckle under the third act's weight. Because earlier in the film, as they were occurring, I was able to shrug off some of the lazier writing, like characters just randomly spouting off about this dark secret or that catalytic moment in their past. And even as the 1960s version did the exact same thing, what allowed that version to work throughout that film, even more than just that decade's endearing, goofy charm, was that it didn't, in its final act, suddenly expect me to care about or believe in these characters' hopes, fears, and desires significantly more than we had in the first 100 minutes. And in this film's final climactic battle, as that body count continued to rise and certain character revelations were made, I just felt like I was watching Fuqua trying to add this extra level of weight to the film, which again, what had come previously, just wasn't designed to hold. Nonetheless, I still had a lot of fun with this film, and if I was to describe any one adjective to this 2016 version of The Magnificent Seven, it would be fun. It knew what it wanted to be and was fairly unashamed in that, making what some people have called missed opportunities for deeper character or thematic exploration just a little more excusable in my mind. And I will also add, if you have the opportunity to see this in IMAX 2D, definitely go for it. It's worth it for the audio alone. Every single gunshot is like a punch in the chest in the best possible way. And though the visuals are oftentimes crushed and made a little more monochromatic in the color correction, which always annoys me about modern blockbusters, it still is a pretty gorgeous film to look at. And for all these reasons, I will give The Magnificent Seven a 3.5 out of 5. I would still know what you guys thought of the film, so definitely comment below and let me know. What's your personal favorite modern Western? I think mine would probably be The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Finally, please do subscribe. I'm going to continue to review films and television on this channel, and I would love for you to stay up to date on all of those things. But for now, I'm Chris Hartwell. This is The Heartbeat. Thank you for joining me.